and welcome to India Today. I am Sanjay Ponappa.
And this is Maruti Acharya, and we just completed watching Dominic the Lady's Purse is the new movie in theaters starring Mammootty, and the movie is directed by Gautham Vasudev Menon. So, Sanjay, your one-liner.
Plain chapati. I was very disappointed. Not very disappointed. I was underwhelmed.
But
it is
chapati?
Yeah, it is plain chapati. You can eat it. It is good. Add some more flavor, and that combination becomes very nice. But then it felt like I just ate a plain chapati, and at the very end, I found some ghee.
Okay.
But then that is all.
A movie with potential to shine, shined in the end for sure. We got the glimpses of GVM, the OG GVM, but I wished it was consistent throughout the movie, not just the pre-climatic and climatic portions. Let's get into the details. Firstly, what worked for us?
For me, in the whole film, glimpses of Mammootty's comic timing and humor worked. Apart from that, the end, the ghee that I mentioned about, the twist at the end, that worked. But I would say that is pretty much it. Music a little bit here and there. The story, which you said has a lot of potential, definitely for sure it did have a lot of potential. But again, when you consider it on a overall basis, the experience was quite underwhelming. It didn't really impress me. After watching a film, after a long time, I felt like there was a hollow. I didn't know what to feel about this.
Okay. So for me, what worked is first Mammootty's presence. Mr. Mammootty is really amazing when it comes to these laid-back roles. And firstly, really, I've been telling this for a very long time, but his script choices. He will make one Kadal, he'll make one Brahmayugam, Turbo, and now he is back with Dominic. So I really like his script choices. One of the reasons why I get hooked to Mammootty movies in recent times is because of his script choices, whether they'll work or not, but it feels like the actor wants to have fun with these new roles. See, he had a very vast career, he had shown his performance potential. We know what kind of actor Mammootty is, but these new attempts that he's trying to do at this age and living it, having fun with the roles, it is Mammootty's presence that pulls the very slow, partially interesting narrative. It was him who was carrying the film, especially in the first half, for sure.
Honestly speaking, I think I will contradict you here a little bit because, again, I felt like, yes, of course, Mammootty is the anchor of the film. He carries the film on his shoulders for sure. But it didn't seem like there was a lot of scope for acting in this film.
Okay.
See, especially considering his recent choices, be it Brahmayugam or Kadal or even Turbo for that matter, they were polar opposite roles. But then there was scope for some form of performance. Here it felt like, again, laid back and all, but it felt like it was Mammootty doing his bare minimum. At least that should be there, or at least Gautham Vasudev Menon's brilliance should be there. Even those weren't highlighted in the film.
Like, we definitely have a contrasting opinion here because comparing Brahmayugam, we know every actor, like all these veteran actors are really capable actors. But I judge it based on the assignment in hand and how are they able to pull it off. So for Dominic, when I was watching, I was having fun with the character and I can see him doing justice to what should be done. So talking about the next positive point, I really, especially in Indian cinema, because I'm a sucker for detective movies, investigation, thriller, crime, all of that. But most of the times in Indian movies, what happens is that it is a mandatory thing that there should be some personal connect with the main character protagonist, the person who's investigating into the case and the case in hand. Every time, every character, there is some personal connect, some personal loss. But in reality, if you think about it, a lot of detectives or police, whoever is investigating, a lot of time, it's like a regular job for them. It's the job at hand and they're doing it. He's a detective who's laid back and who's doing his job, who is like not actually involved, including the climax sequence also. If you think about it, he's not actually having any personal stakes in the story. He's just there. I really like that touch in this movie because it's very rare to see those kind of
the only personal stake here he had was the amount of debt he was in and the kind of danger his life was in around the climax. Again, it is a very nice thing to have someone from a third person's point of view investigating the story. When someone like that who is extremely, intellectual or smart, intellectual, but it was presented like he was smart, street smart, observation and concentration is the main, superpowers of this Dominic, the investigator. And that was a very nice arc, which is why I said the story is really good. very interesting hook, and then the whole culmination of everything that is happening, all the incidents, everything else. But then you can see that all that potential is not translated onto the screen.
The next thing that I really enjoyed is GVM's direction. See, firstly, not fully, I will clarify that. The biggest problem of the movie is him. I will get back to that, but especially the pre-climatic and climatic portions definitely worked for me. I really enjoyed. Despite of me seeing that twist, which I'll talk about in the negatives, I really enjoyed it. And another thing is those classic details of Gautham Menon, which I really enjoy. For example, there's this shot where, you know, the notebooks are kept and his name is CI Dominic in the movie, and the books are covering the Omnic part and it looks like CID on the table. So these kind of small things, the chessboard with 2 coins being chalk pieces, you know, these
Giving
kind of
references
yeah,
to all the
exactly
older
the
films.
Jitu
Yeah,
Joseph
yeah.
reference. So these kind of small things, small dialogues and all of that, they were really, really good. These are the classic GVM things that I was expecting. So it was there like 20% of the movie, but not 80%. Sanjay, what didn't work for you?
I feel like I've only been speaking about what didn't work for me, because very honestly speaking, the only thing that worked for me were the ones that I listed at the start. The comic, very brief comic elements, the story, and then the twist at the end. But then why are those the only things that worked for me? Because especially the screenplay and the narrative, the motion of the narrative which is there in the film, I don't think the best choices were made there. I feel
Fair
like
enough.
while the investigation is going on, while the narrative is going towards something, there were too many distractions added here and there which diluted the, you know, core element of the story. Or be it some comedy scenes which aren't really,
Yeah.
you know, paying off. So all these scenes kind of distracted and deviated the story from what it was supposed to be, which is a very interesting investigative thriller. I am not saying that it had to be a very serious. I am not saying that it had to, you know, have that very intense background music and full Ratchasan mode it has to go. When it is about an investigation, and most of the scenes you don't even see an investigation happening. It is eating mutton or something like that happening on the screen, and even the conversation, none of it is leading. It is totally on a different track.
Yeah.
And those are very distracting, to say the least.
So what didn't work for me in the movie is, one, with any crime thriller, the fundamentals are, there's a dialogue of Mammootty in the entire movie, he uses it multiple times: observation, concentration and distraction. Okay, so these 3 things are actually the most important things, not just for a case, for a thriller movie also. I think they got all of them wrong in the movie, is what I felt. Because observation, you should make audience concentrate on a particular thing and make them observe something and distract them, so that the detail is something else, and when the reveal happens, you will be surprised. So in this movie, I feel like I am observing the obvious, which is going to be revealed. The distraction, which is supposed to distract me, is annoying me, not distracting me. And my concentration on the screen, other than Mammootty's presence and some here and there gags, with the investigation, it was not going on. But when I think about it, I want to know what is happening in the end, or what happened. That is because the story, the basic story of the movie is very good, very gripping. It has a lot of potential. But the biggest problems are screenplay and the classic GVM presentation. First, I'll talk about the GVM presentation, because that is his trademark. With take Vineeth or Varnamayiram, different genres, he has this kind of very slow, giving into the details. The scenes are flowing, they are not to the point, cut to cut. They are flowing, there are random details introduced. So sometimes in some situations with some presentation, for Varnamayiram, you're in for a breezy ride, so it works. But for a detective thriller where there is a case in hand and the detective who is handling the case is supposed to be laid back. So at least the proceedings should be faster, so that you buy this laid back attitude also, because the proceedings are faster. But if they both don't come together, it feels like you're lost in this whole world where you're not able to feel anything. That was the biggest disappointment, and because of that, even the cinematographer and editor couldn't contribute much to the movie.
It's a very simple investigative thriller.
Yeah.
It is not innovative based on cinematography. It didn't need a lot of music on the background. So all that is there. But I feel like some mass elements were being added in between unnecessarily. It wasn't suiting the whole narrative at all. Whatever narrative was there, even that it wasn't suiting. Be it Mammootty's action sequences or a simple fight sequence would have made sense there, but then sudden slow motion or a mass elevation type scene for Mammootty and all of that was very, again, distracting. It shouldn't be distracting. When you're watching a thriller like this, concentration, it's not just for the detective but also for the audience. The concentration should be on the screen.
Exactly.
Even be it a slow narrative, be it a slow burn film, whatever it may be, you shouldn't start, okay, what will happen? I can still catch on to whatever is going to happen, even if I look down and scroll on the phone or something like that. Because there is nothing as important happening on the screen. It isn't believable if just by looking at one scene or one news peg, you say this is the criminal, this is what happened, everything is solved there. That isn't very, relatable.
There's a lot of convenient writing in the movie.
Yeah,
In this
and there are a lot of plot holes as well. Why the motive? There is no search for a motive of why this crime has happened. The motive comes in a very small piece, and that seems like a very inconsequential piece. Although, if you look into details, that might have a lot of investment on a lot of people and all of it. None of that is established. It just happens. These are choices that kind of held back the movie's potential.
But whatever it is, this is our opinion.
Yes.
For you to know what you feel about the movie, you have to go watch that movie in theaters. So please do go watch not just this movie, any movie that releases. Go watch it in theaters. Every movie, big, small, go support.
Try to watch as many movies in the theaters as possible.
With that, this is Maruti Acharya.
And I am Sanjay Ponnappa.
And you're watching India Today.